You're listening to Inside Real Estate, your source for all things mortgage and real estate related. The show that brings you all the hottest topics and insights directly from those who know it most. Now sit back and enjoy the show.
Enjoy the show. What is up, everyone? We are Inside Real Estate. You've got myself, Paul Pasalakis. You've got my co-host, Mr. Thomas Lauer. Today, we've got a very special guest, Mr. David Simovski from Real Team. He is top guy for the month, so we thought we'd bring him in and talk to him a little bit about what he's feeling and seeing in the market. So welcome to the show, my man.
Thanks for having me back.
Awesome. For those of you that are finding us for the first time, thank you for tuning in. For those of you that are coming back, thank you for coming back. Please go to irepodcast.com. You can go to Facebook.com/IRE Podcast. You can go to YouTube, or you can listen to us on any podcast app, or you can even ask Alexa to play us, and she will play us.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's a little bit, different. So today, guys, I there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot going on in the market. So I wanted to talk about home ownership rates. We're going to talk about the slowdown in the housing market, and if we're seeing that on the grassroots type of, like, at the very bottom of the barrel, what you guys are seeing as far as the housing market. And then the Fed is working diligently to fight inflation. I want to talk about if that's really how that's going, and if that's really working, and are we in a recession? There we go. Ben Cross, top guy for the month. There we go. That's awesome, right?
Did you pay that guy a call?
I know. Ben Cross is a
Okay.
good friend of the show. He's been on the show before, actually.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So guys, let's start with inflation. Obviously, it's one of the biggest issues that the Fed is trying to fight right now. They're trying to slow it down as much as possible with higher interest rates. That's the main mechanism, or quantitative easing is what they're doing, right? They're pulling back on buying bonds, and they're also raising rates. Those are the two mechanisms that they have really to slow down inflation.
It's QT now, Paul.
QT,
quantitative tightening.
Yes,
that's right. We've seen back-to-back, 3/4 point increases?
Yep.
After a half?
Yep.
And so things are coming up quickly.
Yeah, the rates have gone up quickly, right? Mortgage rates are around 5% right now.
Yeah.
They were around 6.
Came off 6.
They came down from 6 down to 5-ish, depending on your situation. I think the market now has priced in the 2 increases that we've had, and also the increases that they're expecting for the rest of the year. So we potentially won't see rates in the 7s, I don't think, by the end of the year, but we are going to see higher rates, and it's going to be there for a while.
It's always possible, though, right?
I would take some type of movement for that to happen, but yeah.
Ben is asking, are prices coming down? And I've got to tell Ben, absolutely, 100% prices are coming down.
From their highs.
We just don't know when, right?
Prices on houses are coming down?
Well, prices on houses, I don't know. Let's ask Dave that.
Dave, what do you think? Dave, are prices are housing prices going to go down, or are we going to continue to see mild but some increases in value?
I think we're going to see increases in value, generally speaking. Yeah, I don't think prices are going to go down. We would need a massive flip-flop of inventory for that to happen.
We're kind of seeing that.
But David, let me ask, we are seeing, just in our own brokerage, price adjustments, quite a few of them. I feel like every couple of days we're seeing price adjustment emails come out and posts, right, that we're bringing prices down.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we price homes as real estate agents, we're pricing using data from the past 6 months, right?
Yeah.
Which would take us right into the peak of the increase in the market, right? So if we use that data and we price in a downtrend or in a slowing market, we have to make adjustments to get caught up with the market. So we are seeing price adjustments for sure, very, very regularly.
And just for the audience to understand, this is a price adjustment is when a house goes on the market, potentially sits on the market for a week, 2 weeks, whatever it may be, and the price gets adjusted lower to compensate for maybe a slowing market or not having as many offers as you want on that house. So we must be seeing less offers on houses as well.
We're definitely seeing less offers on houses. there aren't as many buyers as there once were. There's still more buyers than there are sellers, and that's evidenced by the lack of inventory.
Yeah.
But buyers are being a little bit more selective now. Some buyers did get priced out. And so, it has slowed a smidge for sure.
Well, I mean, they're getting priced out because, I mean, there's a graph, Natalie. I think if you want to bring it up with the 5% mortgage rates cushion in the housing market graph, right there, that is the year-over-year change in principal and interest payments.
Wow. Look at that.
Big jump.
Right? So, I mean, if you're looking at that graph, you're looking at year-over-year price. I mean, that's just off the charts, right? So it's just more expensive by 50% if you include in housing inflation along with rate inflation.
Right, which would give you the P&I increase. But yeah, so this is a combination of not only higher house prices, but also higher interest rates.
Right. So when you include both those, payments are up more than 50% year over year for the same house.
Jeez.
Right?
Yeah.
So what does that do to the housing market? Like, what does that even mean?
It just slows the demand down. Doesn't eradicate the demand, doesn't get rid of it completely, but it does slow it down. So you're not seeing
it shrinks your pool of buyers too, because we see pre-approvals come back and we've got clients out, we pre-approved them at 5%, it jumps up to 6%. Now they can't buy those houses anymore, so they're more inclined to wait.
Yeah. Buyers are kind of
don't like waiting.
I think me personally, I think like anytime, like, you got to go on a roller coaster and you hit the fulcrum or the peak of the.
He said fulcrum.
Yep.
Good word.
Yep. And you feel that little moment of like weightlessness.
Yeah.
Because you're not really moving. You're just like you're about to fall or you're about to go up. But when you're on a roller coaster, there's a moment of pause.
Yeah.
Right. I feel like we're almost in that moment of pause where like buyers are like, fuck this, I don't know what's going on. And sellers are like, I better get my house on the market and sell it. So you're seeing kind of just that shift in the market is happening right in front of our eyes very quickly. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. Yeah. That's exactly what it is.
It's just like a pause, I feel like. But are we in stagflation? Like, I guess where does the market go from here is the biggest question. And I don't think anybody really has the answer right now.
No, nobody has the answer. I think the big question now is, are we in a recession or are we creeping towards one?
What's the definition of a recession?
I thought it was back-to-back quarters of negative GDP.
Which we had.
So,
but the Fed is saying that we're not in it. We potentially aren't in a recession due to what?
Well, there's an election, so they're not going to admit that there's a recession.
That could be it.
Right.
But they're also saying because of the job market is so strong. The job market is so strong that they're saying that is going to curtail the recession.
But if GDP growth is negative 2 quarters in a row,
which it has been,
that
is the definition.
Traditionally has been the definition of a recession. So if we've got inflation happening at the same time we're experiencing negative GDP growth, that's stagflation, right?
Stagflation.
That's stagflation. And that's what I feel like the Fed is usually the most scared of, is rising prices during a recession.
Well, James Bullard, president of the St. Louis Federal Reserve Bank, spoke in an interview, right, with Reuters. And he said, if inflation does not respond to the Federal Reserve's interest rate increases by easing as expected, then rates will have to remain higher for longer. So he was questioned on this directly. He expects growth in the second half of this year to pick up from the first half, which featured contractions in overall output in both the first and second quarters. So they're admitting that there's slowdown in growth, but they're not using the recession word yet.
Sure.
But are we in a recession?
Well, I mean, by definition, I would say yes. We had 2 quarters of negative GDP growth.
Do you think we're going to have a rebound from that?
Did you confirm that we actually do have 2 quarters of negative?
That is confirmed. Yeah.
So then I say that's a recession, but
I mean, they can say what they want, right? They can say it's not a recession. They can change the definition. They can do this or that, but the economy is the economy, right? And we're going to know soon enough whether or not we are in a recession or not, is my opinion.
Do you guys believe that the inflation numbers that we're seeing, because the inflation numbers that the Fed uses is a conglomerate of like household goods and you know, they look at a snapshot of certain things, and I'm not sure what those things are. We could probably look it up, but I feel like inflation is not going away, and it's higher than I think the Fed is willing to admit.
I mean, I don't know about you, but when I spend money now, not only, you know, does it take $120 to fill my gas tank, but when I go out to eat, it's like if I just have a lunch somewhere that used to be casual, I feel like that lunch is now $40. You know, where it used to be like 20.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I put my kids in sports camps, and those, you know, where they were $700 a year ago, they're now $1,100. Right. So I don't know, Dave, have you experienced any of that?
I mean, are we talking inflation or are we talking higher prices?
Just higher prices.
It's the same thing.
I don't think so. I think
that's exactly what. Why don't you think they're the same?
Well, inflation is the increase of money supply. Inflation, again, is the increase of the money supply. The prices are the
result
of the higher increase in.
That's a fair statement.
So prices being higher, I mean, you drive by a Taco Bell and they're advertising $16 an hour. You know, so if wages have gone up and wages are going to continue to, I mean, you can't take that money away if, you know, higher prices go down. So if it costs more to produce, I think prices are going to stay high.
I don't think the job market is okay, but companies are getting nervous. Just like I'm seeing a lot of. So to Ben Cross's comment, Ben Cross said the job market is okay, but companies are getting nervous, just like the housing market. There's going to be there's a lot of companies cutting jobs right now.
Yeah,
Google's talking about tightening.
Yeah,
Amazon's talking about tightening. We're talking like tech companies have already kind of let go of people. The mortgage industry's tightening.
In our world, the mortgage industry's just been falling off the map. There's a lot of big lenders that are either folding up or just doing massive layoffs.
Yep. The Ford just came out with record earnings, but they said they're going to be laying people off because they're bloated.
Amazon, right?
Amazon is going to be laying people off.
I think Walmart had not a great quarter.
Yeah. I mean, I just think that layoffs are coming.
Yeah, maybe.
They are coming. So, like, the job market isn't going to be as strong, I don't think, going forward.
Here's the thing. Going into this, didn't we have, like, a situation where, like, you couldn't hire anybody, couldn't find anybody?
Yeah.
And it's been very hard to hire, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's industry specific, I guess, but it's weird.
I mean, there's over 10 million job openings.
We're laying people off and we got a help wanted sign in the window. Wait, what?
It's weird, right?
It's really weird.
There's layoffs, but then like Quicken laid off X amount of people, but they're still hiring for certain jobs.
Sure.
Right. So I don't know. I think inflation is not going away. I think once you get used to paying a price as a consumer, it's hard to pull that back.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It spikes fast and comes down real slow.
It comes down real slow.
Yeah.
I mean, look at gas prices, right?
Right.
Like we feel good because they're $4 a gallon.
Yeah, I said that the other day. It's like, oh my God, I got to run and pay $3.79 a gallon because it's cheap. And I'm thinking to myself,
that's cheap, right?
Yeah.
So now we're desensitized, or we're trained now that $5 is almost normal, and $4 is cheap. Whereas 2 years ago, $4 would be outlandish, or a year ago, whatever it may be. So I don't see the price of goods going back down enough to go back to pre-inflation numbers, right? So we're stuck with these new prices. I don't, once it goes there, it doesn't come back.
Right.
So what happens there? I mean, we're just going to have inflation. I think our world right now, and then you've got global issues, right?
Sure.
You've got tons of global issues. How is that affecting us? Are you seeing, Dave, people, are you seeing buyers? Are you working with a lot of buyers right now? And if so, what are you hearing from them?
Well, some buyers are expecting. I had a conversation with a buyer yesterday who was waiting for this market to completely collapse. I told him I didn't think that was going to happen, and for the reasons that we discussed. But Some buyers are waiting for deals. Some buyers are, they have cash and they want to buy. Other buyers, if they need a house, they need a house. You know what I mean? So that it's kind of a homeowner versus an investor type mindset.
Yeah.
Right. If you're leaning more towards the investor mindset, yeah, you're looking for prices to come down. Buyers, they want what they want when they want it, for the most part, generally speaking.
Yeah.
So Dave, you've done a lot of real estate investing.
Mm-hmm.
I think your strategy's been buy and hold, buy and rent.
Yep.
Can you speak to rental prices, like just monthly rents? Are you seeing those increase, or what's the deal going on there? Right. Is it a good time to buy a house and hold and rent?
I mean, it's rental prices are higher than they've ever been. That's for sure. It just depends on your time horizon, right? If you're looking to hold and you're looking to stay in an investment long term, it just depends. It depends on the area, it depends on the comps. Are you willing to wait out if you have to? You had to overpay to get into an investment earlier this year,
right? You
don't really have to do that as much anymore.
Okay, so if your strategy is to rent or buy and hold, we're seeing those properties. There's more of them available now, maybe better prices.
Absolutely.
So it might be a time to get in the market.
Yeah, if you're looking to invest, if you've got cash that you want to deploy and get it to work, it's always going to be a good time to buy something to rent it out, because rent continues to go up.
Rent is crazy, right? I think finding good rentals right now are hard in our area. I know that I've got friends that were looking for rentals, and it was very difficult for them to find one that was available in the places they wanted to look at. They had a problem with it.
Well, they say follow the big money or follow the smart money sometimes, right? Follow where the money's going. And I don't know if it was BlackRock or one of the
Black Knight, you mean?
Maybe it was Black Knight. I don't know. One of these hedge funds is like going into neighborhoods and buying all the single family homes. Like I'm talking 160, 170 homes at once.
Are they still doing that right now?
I mean, it was a recent article that I read. So really, I don't know if it's still happening, but it's got to tell you something, right?
Yeah. I mean, if the big hedge funds are buying into this, right. And I'm always like, be where people aren't. Right. And I think if there is a slowdown right now, there might be opportunity in that. They really, I don't think 5% rates are really that bad historically. Right.
No.
If you get an investment property, you might be at 7%, which is more typical to norms. But if you're going to be sitting on the property, why does that matter? Right. Especially, I mean, you're it's going to hurt your monthly output, but we're still going to see appreciation over time on housing. That's not going away, in my opinion. No. Like we're going to see maybe modest gains, maybe 3, 4, 5%. I have a friend of mine who's calling for like a 20% correction. Like a 10% correction
in housing.
Yeah, he thinks.
What's the catalyst?
That's
my question to him. What's the catalyst?
So it's Stace Gressel. He's out in California, and he does a lot. Yeah, Stace, and he is.
That's a different market. Maybe that market is a little more overinflated than we are. So everything happens in pockets.
He told me that like they've seen price increases where he's at. Still. Okay. But he's in the Bay Area, so it's its own economy there.
Right.
It's a very strange world.
I just talked to Richie.
Okay.
He moved back to California. Richie was an agent with us here.
Yeah.
And he showed me a house across the street from where he's living, and they're asking, it was 1,000 square foot little ranch, and they're asking $1,000 a foot. So $1 million property just to be raised so that they could build something. And so the acquisition cost of the lot was $1 million.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, it's hyper. I think real estate markets are hyper local anyway. It's something that's happening here in the Metro Detroit area is totally different from, Columbus, Ohio, from Atlanta, Georgia, from Florida. You know what I mean?
You can go literally a block in a real estate market's completely different. I was at the Rocket Mortgage Classic this weekend.
Yep.
And it's really weird to think so you're driving down 7 Mile to get to the golf course, and you're literally going past burnt out buildings, single family homes that are abandoned, and you cross over Woodward.
Yep.
And then it's like, bam, you're in
price. Everything else is a function of price. So they talk about layout. I'm sorry, not layout. I just got distracted.
It's all right. Construction type.
Yeah, it just depends.
Like ranch split, whatever.
So
Exactly.
just we just went black for a minute, guys. I'm sorry about that. We're talking about price adjustments and why we're doing price adjustments right now. And Dave is seeing a lot of that on the listing side. How's that like? So talk to the audience about that conversation that you're having with the person that's listing the home. How do you approach that and let them know that we need to adjust your price down lower compared to what we thought we were going to have?
Well, we want to get ahead of the market, right? It's all about positioning. We want to take a look at our active competition and make sure that we're in the best position to get the attention of the market, right?
Right.
If there's other homes in that neighborhood or in that area that are competitors, we have to find a way to be more attractive. And if we're comparing apples to apples with condition and finish, square footage, how do we become more attractive? And that's generally with price, especially with what buyers are seeing right now. They're thinking that prices are coming down a little bit. So if they see something, so it comes down to value is what it really is, right? They want to see the most value, the most bang for their buck. So if we can get ahead of that and position ourselves ahead of the next guy who's listing their house for the same price, let's say, and we're a little bit better in price, we're a better perceived value.
Right.
And that's how I'm explaining it to sellers. They need to know that.
Right.
And I tell them that ahead of time too.
Why? What are you doing, Tommy?
Just gonna fix it a
All
little
right,
bit.
there you go. So price adjustments are real. They're happening. If I'm a buyer right now, don't I have more leverage? Like, isn't this a good time? Like, I'm seeing concessions being talked about like they weren't before. Jeremy Andery says, you really know your stuff, Dave, just so you know.
Shout out to Jeremy.
You know him?
I know Jeremy.
All right, that's good.
He's a client.
Very nice.
We've had those conversations.
You've had those conversations.
Oh, yeah, he knows.
Yeah, he knows all about that.
He knows.
Can I ask Dave, like, just the process of, it's for Jeremy, I don't know what the conversation you had with him was, but I think it's so important for a good real estate agent to be able to have tough conversations. And I think the difference between sometimes a good agent and a bad agent are the good ones are able to have those tough conversations. So how do you do that? Right? What's the psychology behind it, Dave? Like, how do you break, hey, we don't have any showings.
Let's role play it.
Let's role play.
Yeah, let's role play.
Dave.
I'll be the client, and you break the bad news to me that we need to lower my price.
No pressure.
Hold on, I'll set the situation up.
Yeah, set it up.
So the situation is this, guys. Dave went in and recommended that we price at $400,000, and you said you wanted to price higher.
Yeah, my neighbor just sold for $420,000.
Right. So we're going to price at $400,000 is what Dave says. You agree with him, right? So right off the rip, you take Dave's price at $400,000.
I'm already 20 G's lower than I thought.
Than you thought you would be. So
right.
you take Dave's price
at
$400,000. Now we're on the market for 10 days and you've had 2 showings.
And these are real scenarios
These are real scenarios.
I mean, things like this are really happening right now.
Dave priced it at $400,000.
Yeah.
We're on the market 10 days. We've had 2 showings, and go, Dave.
Ring, ring.
What's up, Dave? You got a buyer for me, man?
Paul, how's it going, man? How are you? How's your day?
Good, dude. Good. What's up?
Hey, no buyer. I don't have a buyer for you. Just wanted to touch base with you, kind of give you an update on what's going on in the marketplace. You got a minute?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So just taking a look at where we're at right now. We've been on the market for 10 days.
10 days. Yeah, 10 days.
Yeah, we've had 2 showings total.
Yeah, I was expecting more traffic. Like, it's weird. Like, my neighbor just sold his house for $420,000, and they had multiple offers on their house.
Yeah, the market's shifting rapidly. I'm sure you've seen the news.
Is it that rapid? I mean, is it that much of a difference?
It is. Rates have gone up, right? So that prices, some of the buyers that were looking are no longer looking. So we have to be the best show in town. With that being said, we don't have the activity that we need on your home, so we have to reposition.
Okay.
What does that mean? What I mean by that is we have to make ourselves more attractive in the marketplace. right now we're not getting showings and we don't have offers.
Right.
Okay. So the worst thing we can do is sit and wait for something to change without taking any action.
Are you saying that I got to drop the price again, Dave? Because I've already kind of gone down 20,000.
Well, we started at 400. You know, you wanted 420. I know that neighbor of yours sold for 420. That was 45 days ago, and the market has shifted considerably since then.
Okay.
Okay. So what I'm recommending is that we make an adjustment to your price to get more foot traffic. We want to be more attractive to the marketplace, like I mentioned. So I'd recommend that we adjust the price to 375.
Whoa.
Okay. So it's $25,000 price adjustment. But what it's going to do, hopefully, is get more traffic in the door. We position ourselves to be the hottest show in town, and we draw more buyers in to get you that offer that you're looking for. Does that make sense?
I mean, it makes sense. I get what you're saying. My fear is that, we get a lowball offer or whatever it may be. I'm not in the business of, I just don't want to entertain anything below that. That really puts me at a position where I potentially am getting $45,000 less for my property than I thought I was going to get. It's kind of a lot. I'm buying a new house that was going to be used for a down payment. So I don't know how I feel about dropping it that much. With that being said, do you think that dropping it that much would give us an opportunity to get multiple offers?
I'll never promise you that we'll get multiple offers, especially with the way the market's kind of shifted. If you asked me this 6 to 12 months ago, I would tell you, yes, absolutely. If we make this adjustment, this gives us a much better chance of getting multiple offers. But not right now. I don't see that happening.
Okay, that's perfect. I think, okay, then let's do it. This conversation that you're having with your sellers, it's so different than what it was just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, brutal honesty. I mean, it's really, there's no point in tiptoeing around it. The facts are the facts. We have X amount of showings, not nearly enough.
Right.
No offers. I mean, yes, you're afraid to get a lower offer, but it's at least an offer, and we can work with that.
Right.
That's what you hired me for, is to get you the highest price for your home. So I'm gonna do that. Right. You know what I mean? But without an offer in hand, I don't have anything to work off of. You know what I mean? And so that's what you hired me for. You hired me to sell your home for top dollar in today's marketplace, and that sometimes does mean we have to have honest conversations about the price.
That's amazing. The fact that I think it blows my mind, Tom, that the conversations are so different.
Yeah. Well, 2 months ago, you wanted to be a seller, right?
Yeah.
Now I don't know if you want to be a seller or a buyer, but you definitely. Well, Dave, 2 months ago when we were role playing this, you could pretty much tell the seller, like, oh yeah, sure, we can do it at the 420, right? Like that same situation. Hey, my neighbor sold for 425. I want to put it on for 420, even though you don't think maybe it's there. You're still putting it on, right?
100%. I would take the listing, and buyers would pay whatever it took, because they were fighting. They were tripping over each other to get to a house. There was no way you're getting your offer accepted unless you were fully, unless you were leaps and bounds ahead of the next offer.
So a lot of the people that watch this show are real estate agents, mortgage people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
insiders, kind of.
Yeah.
And I think we all know that it's easier to get a listing if you overprice that listing. Right.
As a real estate agent,
it's easier to get that
listing.
So that same situation where he said 400, another agent could come in and say 450.
No, another agent's going to come in and tell you 420 because there's a comp.
Right.
Yeah.
Even though we know that the market's
already tested the market.
Yes.
Right. So, and when you have a client, they probably look at you like you're crazy, saying, why are you pricing to what's going to happen in the future? We've got comps that show, I can get 420, Dave. So why the heck are we pricing it at 400?
Or why are we doing a reprice so fast?
Right.
Why it's been 10 days, right, Dave?
Yeah.
And, generally speaking, in the past, houses would sell in 30, 45 days. Why in this market is it so important after 10 days to be already looking at price adjustments? And does a price adjustment make the listing look stale?
It's important because days on market is the biggest enemy to a home's value, to a home's final sales price.
Okay.
The longer it sits,
Yeah.
the more the buyers out there are going to ask, well, what's wrong with this house?
It gets stale.
It gets stale. Or they're going to assume that it's overpriced, which then you're going to get lowball offers too. So let's get ahead of it. Let's reposition ourselves to give ourselves the best chance of getting that offer so that we're not in that position.
And it takes balls to go back to your seller and say that, right? It takes a little bit of balls to do that. And I don't know that, like, the good agents, I think, are doing it. I think the ones that are educated, that are really moving product, they're the ones that are actually ahead of the curve. But I think a lot of agents are sitting back on their laurels and hoping that they get that price for their people because they don't want to have that conversation. Would you agree with that?
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a tale as old as time, right? I mean, nothing matters but price, period. And it does. You say it takes balls, but I mean, it's just having that honest conversation with
being
your
a professional.
Yeah. You have to report, you can't go, not to compare to a physician, but doctor can't pussyfoot around giving you the diagnosis.
And if he is, he's not doing his job.
Yeah, it's a disservice to you. I mean, I told you from the get-go, Mr. Seller, that I was going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
That's my goal, is to be honest with you, to help you sell your home, right? And sometimes that includes me giving you some news that you're probably not happy to hear.
Got it. Are you seeing, just from the listing side of homes, different strategies that are being implemented at this point, or is it status quo kind of, because sellers have more options. I mean, buyers have more options. What other things uniquely can we do to sell a property right now?
Well, I don't think we're at that point yet.
No,
where we're getting super creative, like, as far as like offering concessions and things like that. Like,
yeah,
that I mean, I've been in a real estate bull market since I got in, right? It was going up since I got into the business, and
there's been dips and valleys, but
for the most part, it's been an upward trend, right? Since I got in 2014, right? So I haven't seen the flip side of this market yet.
Got it.
I haven't seen a buyer's market.
That's an honest statement.
Yeah, I've been part of a seller's market since day one, so I don't see the creative stuff. Like, just for example, on a listing agreement, there's a section that you can fill out that talks about offering sellers concessions up front. And I've been striking through that spot for 8 years now. I've never had to use that.
Strike through it, but yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So is it coming? I don't know. I think it'll come if, like I said in the beginning, if we have a massive flip-flop in inventory. But right now, we're still sitting at record low inventory, 1.4, 1.5, 1.6 months of supply, which is still up. It's crept up. Yeah, it was 1.4 at its lowest, so it's gone up 0.1%. But I mean, how much in reality? It's the same thing. You know what I mean?
So even though we're seeing an increase in listings, you're saying that the increase is minimal. It's not enough to placate the appetite of the buyers out there.
Correct. Yeah, it's not to the point where sellers are super desperate. You know what I mean? Right. We're still in a position where it's still more. There's still more buyers than there are sellers, albeit it's not what it was, but it's still more. There's still more buyers than sellers.
I'm seeing buyers feeling like they're not willing to negotiate as much. It seems like they're a little bit more staunch. They're like, fuck this. I'm not going that high.
Yeah, I feel like I'm seeing them just not be crazy like the way they were. Not seeing like
the fervor,
guaranteed appraisals anymore.
Right.
I'm not seeing them ask for
skipping inspection.
Right. They're not skipping inspections anymore. Like, it's getting back to normal. And remember, we're coming off of a hardcore seller's market.
Yeah.
So even if it takes 4 or 5 months as we transition back to a buyer's market, it's still going to remain pretty seller favorable until we get back to that equilibrium.
What I'm looking at is just from a time frame, like usually right now, this is a busy time of the year, right? We're going into school starting. We're going into the holidays. We're going into the holiday market where, you've got Thanksgiving and Christmas, and, the winter months are hard here in Michigan. Are we in line for, until maybe next spring a situation where we see depressed numbers compared to last year based on what we're coming up against.
I think we could totally see slow down in total transactions.
Right.
Again, there's so many moving parts, right? Will prices be higher, lower? Prices will probably come down. I don't think a ton, but.
And when you say come down, you don't think we're going to lose equity in houses, do you? Or do you think just the rate of increase is going to slow down? Because year over year, we're still up 18%.
I think we're going to see, because we're coming off an extreme peak of increase. I definitely think there will be some type of a pullback, even if it's 1-2%.
So you think so if my house is worth $100,000
if you
today,
just bought it,
yep, and it's worth $100,000
last month, and it's $100,000,
it might be worth
in
98.
December it might be worth 98. Absolutely.
Do you guys remember when the industry standard was like, okay, your house, you could
3%.
reasonably tell it's only 3 to 5%.
Yeah.
Remember when we used to say that? And
Yes.
then 20% was happening, 25% was happening, 18%. So again, I don't think we're going to see a negative growth. I think we're going to see
So why would I buy a
slowdown,
house now then?
because you got to get in the game to play. If you're not invested in a house,
Yeah, what are you doing?
the prices are
Renting.
still going up. They're still going up. They're just not going up as fast. They're not going up 20% or 25%. Maybe they're going up 7 to 10%, which is still pretty good. I mean, you go to the stock market to get, I think everyone would be happy with 7 to 10% the way the market's gone this year, right? But 7 to 10% is still pretty good appreciation, in my opinion.
It is.
So if you're not and the bigger the price point of the home, the bigger the return. But
right.
I tell a lot of buyers and sellers that they think of buying their house as an investment. It's shelter first, right? Look at that. Look at the money part of things secondly, but it's shelter for you and your family, right? So you have to make sure that you're happy with the house that you're buying. You're happy with the location. If you check all those boxes, don't worry so much. And especially if you're going to be in the home long term. If you're going to be in there short term, maybe you shouldn't be buying. Maybe you should rent. But if you're going to be in a house long term, 5 years plus, you should definitely be buying, because you're missing out on the appreciation.
Dave, do you ever watch Netflix?
Sometimes.
Have you seen the new hot show Alone?
I have not. Tell me more.
So these guys, they put them on a plane and they drop them into like British Columbia, and they got 10 items, like a saw and an axe, and they have to survive. Right,
They're doing it for like a year.
No, well, it's
Like
until the last person's
days.
done. Like the last guy, I think, won after like 75 days or
It's a
something.
long time. Yeah,
It's a long time. What's the first thing they do?
build shelter.
They build the shelter.
They build a shelter. And we're in what business?
The shelter business.
We're in the shelter business.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like they build that shelter before they even start looking for food.
Yeah, they need
they
need
do.
protection from the elements. You're right. That's funny that you bring that up, because I was thinking about that the other day. I was going to use this analogy. When you go to a deserted island, the first thing you do, you've got people that'll decide to just sit there and not do anything. They're going to not make it. And then you've got people that get to work right away and build shelter and get food and water. That's what they do.
Yeah.
Right. And that's basic necessities as humans. One thing I want to talk about, Dave, is just your month this last month. I know that you had one of your better months of the year, actually, which is atypical, I think, in our market. Talk to us a little bit about your month. What were your numbers? I think you go ahead and tell us your numbers. I don't want
It was the best month of my career.
of your career.
My entire career.
Wow.
By almost double.
In a slowing market. Oh my god!
How did you do that?
Yeah, it just kind of all happened at once. Had everyone reach out to me at the same time.
What did you do? What were your numbers?
Just a little over 4 million.
4 million.
4.1 million in sales, and it was about 6 or 7 sold units.
Wow.
Just for perspective, the average MLS agent that we have will not do 4 million in an entire
In a year. Yeah. For perspective.
For perspective,
The most agents don't do 4 million in an entire year.
right?
So kudos to you, man.
Thank you.
And were those buyers and sellers?
Buyers and sellers. Yeah, for sure.
Both of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So interesting that in a what would you I get people reached out to you, but you did something before that, right?
Or was it the market? What was it that made you so busy?
The volume absolutely is a product of the market.
Yeah.
The sales volume. Prices are up. Right.
Yeah.
Units wise, it isn't my highest unit month
Got it.
in my career, but volume wise, yes, it is.
Got it.
If you're reaching out to your past clients and your friends and your family and coworkers and all that ahead of time,
Yeah.
usually that's the sales are the result, right? So anything you're doing 30, 60, 90 days ahead, that's what pays you into the future, right? So
Right.
if you are picking up the phone and talking to people, it's really simple. The real estate business is extremely simple. It's
not easy.
It's simple. It's not easy, but you have to talk to people. If your sales aren't where you want them to be, you have to talk to more people. It's really, really simple, right? There's a Chinese proverb. You guys ready for this?
Let's go for it.
The best time to plant a tree was yesterday. The next best time is right now.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're not picking up the phone and having conversations, and that doesn't necessarily mean calling someone. That's just being in touch with people.
It's a contact sport.
It's a contact sport. It's absolutely a contact sport.
It's a contact sport.
You have to talk to people, whether that's on Messenger, on Facebook, or on Instagram, or text messages, or whatever the case may be. It's continuing to stay in front of people.
Who are the people you like to talk to? Like, you know what I mean? Where do you focus?
My sphere.
Can you talk to us a little bit about that? Like
Yeah.
how that all works for you, like maybe your process?
I mean, I started 8 years ago building my database, right? And it took 8 years, and I'm at 400. I just looked at it yesterday. I'm at 400 exactly people in my database, right?
That's your sphere of influence.
That's my sphere of influence. It's past clients, it's friends, it's family,
right?
Yeah, referrals, things like that. So I really, it's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but I do try to keep in touch with everyone
periodically. You're right.
Yeah, and those that,
What does regularly mean?
I mean, once every month, every couple of months.
Oh,
Just to check in and see how
5
things are
times
going.
a year.
Yeah, 4 or 5 times a year. My past clients will attest. They get the voicemails and the text messages from me, but I just check in to see how life is and what's going on in their world, with their job and with their family and with their home, what projects they have planned, what vacations they have planned, how things are going.
Do you find it awkward to make those calls?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, sometimes it's a little uncomfortable, and that's usually because I slipped up and it took me 90 days to reach out to somebody instead of 60.
So if you're more consistent with follow-up or with continuing to reach out, it's easier.
Yeah, the more you. I mean, so it's like some people you can pick up right where you left off, right? It just depends on the person, but others, it can get a little awkward. But you just have to keep doing it. You just have to keep doing it and keep reaching out. And my business model is, I reach out to the people that I know first, and then to grow my database, to grow my business, I reach out to people I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's the people I know first, because those are the people that are in my corner, that are rooting for me, that like me, that have done business with me. You know what I mean? So
those are your peeps.
Those are my peeps.
Yeah,
for sure. And I'm grateful. I'm very grateful for the people that have, decided to help me, with my business.
Being like a good agent, I feel like in this market, you need a good team, right? Overall, talk to me a little bit about how you view your brokerage, how you view the people around you, how you can manage to do $4 million in a month and not lose your brain, lose your head doing it, right? I think there's something to be said for that, your support system, because you didn't do it alone.
No way. I mean, I have, you guys have interviewed Jamie. She, without her, I'm losing my head for sure. Right.
Yeah.
But
what does she do for you?
So she helps me, communicate with the co-op agent. She's helping me negotiate the offers. She's doing a lot. She deserves a lot of credit. But without having her, on my team, I would not be where I'm at today. So shout out to you, Jamie. You're gonna.
Yeah, we don't want to
have a hard time getting through the door with that big head now, but it's all good.
So, Dave, is that somebody that you had to go out and hire on your own? How'd you have the idea to even bring someone to your team to help? How does that work in your brokerage?
So we have at Real Team, we have a negotiation team. It's a group of negotiation specialists. We call them 4 or 5 of them, I believe.
Yeah,
and they work with certain individual agents, and they just they help with getting things from start to finish. That's not including the admin team. Shout out to the admin team. They do a lot of work too, marketing, photography. I mean, it's a team concept. Look, I'm not a very organized person naturally. I have to force myself to do that.
It's good that you know that about yourself.
Yeah, for sure. So to have support to help me get things done, as far as photography, the sign install, the lockbox, clearing anything that, clearing title, that kind of stuff. It really allows me to focus on procuring new business.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be able to do that without the team.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And that's a plug for Real Team. I mean, I just being that I'm like here and I'm witnessing all this. A lot of the questions that I had when I came over was like, why would an agent work at Real Team? Because the splits are not as high as some other places, right?
I would disagree with that. I think our splits are great.
Do you do?
Yeah. I mean, they're competitive.
Okay.
They're graduated. You can scale up.
Yep.
Depending on how much business you've done as an agent. So, recently we changed the comp plan to allow for agents out there in Metro Detroit that have sales. They can graduate into our comp plan.
Got it.
So they don't start at the bottom, which still isn't that bad. You know what I mean? Considering all the support and all the systems that we have in place. So that's a really nice feature that the team offers. But the splits to me, I think are really good.
Yeah.
The splits are good.
Key Club's good.
Key Club.
What are you doing this weekend, David?
Going to Nash Vegas. What do they call it? Nash Vegas?
Nash Vegas, baby.
Yeah. So Real Team's sponsoring a trip for all the Key Club members to Nashville for the weekend. So all expenses paid, which is cool.
That's awesome.
Flying out Friday morning and looking forward to buying myself a cowboy hat.
All right, man. Well, congratulations on an epic month.
Appreciate it.
Amazing month. Good job, buddy.
Amazing month. Let's do 3 questions for you, 3 random questions that are, not related to real estate, but just off the top of our heads that you have to answer.
Okay.
All right.
I'll go first.
Yep.
Dave, you're on a desert island. There's a refrigerator there, and you can go to that refrigerator every day once, but you can only pull the same item out every single time. Right? It's the same thing every single time. What's in the refrigerator when you open the door?
Water bottles.
This guy's so logical.
Dude, this guy's
so logical.
Because you can get water and coconuts, and there's water on the island. Instead of looking for water, you're going to use it for that.
Okay, are we talking about survival though? Or is this about survival?
No, you're a loser for that answer.
Okay,
whatever. Loser.
Paul's really judgy when it comes to this game.
Loser. Water. Dumb.
Okay, Mountain Dew.
There we go. That's what I would have had, like Pepsi in there, like just because I like Pepsi, like fucking water.
Not beer. Like, wouldn't you have a beer?
I'm not a big beer. I'm not a big alcohol drinker.
Yeah,
I'm not.
I'd want women in there.
Women.
They'd be too cold and too small.
In a refrigerator, because I'm thinking like a mini fridge.
Oh, see, I'm talking
like 36 inch.
Women in refrigerators is not a good topic to go down.
Yeah, that's holding them hostage. There's a whole lot that goes on in that. Yeah.
Okay, back to the water bottles.
Back to water bottles. Water bottles are great.
Next.
I think that's a great call. All right. Next question is Dave has to eat one food for the rest of his life. What would it be and why? You can't.
That's a tough one for him.
Yeah.
He's
foreign. Yeah.
He loves food.
I don't want to go basic because I already went basic.
You can go basic.
Man,
I mean, it's got to be what you can eat every day.
Kebab.
No, not doner kebab. I'd get tired of those. What could I eat every single day? I could eat pizza.
Pizza.
Okay.
No question.
Pizza's a popular answer. I would do pizza because I could eat pizza every day.
Pizza's pretty
I can eat cold pizza. I could eat warm pizza. I can eat pieces of pizza. I can eat the crust. I can eat. There's a lot on there.
Everybody loves pizza.
Pizza's something that you can eat. But all right. That was a decent answer.
Still basic though.
Still very basic.
He's so judgy.
Fine. I'm comfortable in my own skin.
Next
I know you are.
question. You have a time machine. You can travel anywhere back in time and sit into like any historic event. You could be part of it. What period of time are you going back to, and why?
I think I'm going back to the Roaring Twenties.
The Roaring Twenties.
Gatsby.
You want flappers around?
I love it. The Roaring Twenties to me.
Those cars are sweet.
Yeah, like you guys watch Peaky Blinders.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. But obviously in America.
So that was not a basic answer.
No.
Roaring 20s is different.
I like the growth. I like the hustle and bustle. You know what I mean?
You'd wear the hat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you do the whole thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Sell real estate? Would you sell real estate back then?
Or would you be a rum runner?
No, I'd sell real estate. Because there's so much. It's so plentiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, but real estate wasn't going for what it's going for nowadays.
Doesn't matter.
Bro.
But I'd be the man.
I wonder
who else was selling real estate.
What was the
back then?
process back then, you think?
Same. They just did it written down.
It totally
Literally, there are like
Yeah.
from the 1800s, late 1800s, there's like sales journals, books. Commissions are the same.
Everything's
Process
the
is the same. Everything's the same.
It just goes
Just
to
no
show you that
technology.
like all this technology that we have, all this stuff that's supposed to change our world, and all this, the job is the same.
Yeah.
It's like being a carpenter. There's
Right.
It's like being a carpenter has Jesus was doing a lot of the same things that they're doing today.
Just the tools are different.
Yeah. And you can use old tools and still do the same thing.
Yeah.
It's really weird to me. But all right. Well, that's our show, Dave. Anything you want to say before we let you go, man?
No, I just really appreciate you guys having me on. It's awesome that you guys are 200. This is 201, right?
201 episodes. I'm more proud of your month. I'm proud that you're going to be on a billboard here pretty soon.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's kind of cool, right?
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And we're really proud of the work that you're doing, man.
Appreciate
Keep it up. Tell the audience how they can get a hold of you.
You can call me on my cell, 586-615-4343, or you can email me at dave@mirealteam.com, or you can reach me on Facebook or on Instagram at David Simovski.
Yeah, pretty soon you'll be able to go to our website, a really sweet website to like go to your landing page.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, everybody. For those of you that have listened in, thank you so much. For those of you that commented and been part of the show, can't tell you how much we appreciate that. Please go to irepodcast.com if you have questions, concerns, or anything that you want to let us know about. Otherwise, we'll see you next week. And if you like the show, please leave a comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you didn't like the show, go fuck yourself.
Jeez, Paul.
You've been listening to Inside Real Estate, the nation's top real estate podcast. Don't forget to follow us at irepodcast.com and everywhere where podcasts are available.